It's 6 o'clock. Good evening and welcome to the news. Newsnight Headlines is brought to you by Eden Heights. Welcome home. In this edition, Muslims in Ghana charge to distance themselves from suspicious characters to help foil any possible terror attack in the country.
I urge all of you not to let agents provocateurs destroy our unique way of life. I know you've read of threats and actual attacks.
We have details as President Akufo-Addo preaches religious tolerance and security as Muslims climb a month-long fasting and prayers. Minority in Parliament predicts Bank of Ghana's cleanup of the microfinance sector will worsen the industry's performance instead of making it better.
The recent action is going to trigger further panic in the system. You see,
and on the occasion of World Environment Day, we'll take you to one of what has been described as the dirtiest communities in the country, Nima Mamobi, where residents feel government has neglected the community in the distribution of bins.
And in business, former MP for Instituto Kwaman Beso, Kwame Osepempe, appointed new managing director of GOIL.
And later, while Ghana is constantly breeding a new generation whose songs are topping the charts in Benin, the charts are dominated by the older generation.
The musicians in Benin have failed to organize themselves in a way in which it will be conducive to the industry.
We'll bring you a report on the contrasting musical situation of the two countries. Newsnight is brought to you by Puma Card from Puma Energy, cash-free convenience. I am MF Apau. And in our very first story, President Akufo-Addo has challenged the Muslim population in Ghana to report suspicious characters in their neighborhood to help foil any possible terror attack in the country. In the wake of terror led by security experts and with recent terrorist attack in neighboring Burkina Faso, the president urged people residing in the Zangos not to allow people with terrorism intent to take advantage of the country's hospitality. Delivering a speech at the 2019 Eid celebration at the Independence Square in Accra, President Akufo-Addo also challenged Muslims in Ghana not to go back to business as usual after the 29-day spiritual journey.
After 29 days of fasting and intense prayers by the Muslim population in Ghana and around the world, the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharubutu, led thousands of Muslim men and women to perform the voluntary prayers at the Independence Square here in Accra. The prayers were followed by a sermon in which the National Chief Imam urged the Muslim population to live in peace with Muslims and non-Muslims. While he called on Muslims to live in peace and harmony with non-Muslims, the Chief Imam has been preaching this everywhere he's been, that both Muslims and Christians are the descendants of Adam and Eve. So there is no reason whatsoever for Muslims to fight Christians or for Christians to fight Muslims. Let's take a listen to what the president had to say.
Beautiful spectacles that unfold in our country should not be taken for granted. We must continue to work to preserve our culture of religious tolerance. We cannot surrender this beautiful way of life for anything, and certainly not to people who seek to pervert religious beliefs. I urge all of you not to let agents provocateurs destroy our unique way of life. I know you've read of threats and actual attacks by Christian and Muslim miscreants in the West Africa region and other parts of the world. We do not ever want this phenomenon to occur in our country. Whilst the security agencies work to keep all of us safe, I encourage you to report suspicious characters who come into your communities to take advantage of our well-acclaimed hospitality to unleash mayhem on our country to the police.
The president also announced that the Finance Ministry has issued clearance for the utilization of the much-discussed Zongo Development Fund. With the clearance given by the Finance Ministry, it is expected that development in the Zongos kickstart with speed. Latif Idris, Joy News, Accra.
Now, elsewhere, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia also revealed that the Minister of Finance has signed the commencement warrant for the Ministry of Inner City and Zongo Development to begin spending on the Zongo Development Fund allocation in the 2019 budget. He mentioned that when the fund is disbursed, it will go a long way to solve the myriad of challenges faced by the people in Zongo communities across the country. Dr. Bawumia made the statement when he joined Orthodox Muslims at the Nah Sadiki Bomi II Park for the open congregation prayers. Rafiq Salam has more.
This is the first time a sitting vice president has joined Muslims for Eid al-Fitr prayers in the Upper West region. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia joined tens of thousands of worshippers of the Orthodox Muslim faith for the 2-rakat open congregational prayer led by the Imam of Jami, Dr. Suleiman Bakuri. He prayed for the nation and President Akufo-Addo.
You protect and save Mother Ghana from calamities befalling in our neighboring countries.
Vice President Dr. Bawumia announced to the worshippers the signing of the commencement warrant for the Zongo Development Fund.
I'm happy to announce that the Minister for Finance has signed the commencement warrant for the Ministry of Inner Cities and Zongo Development to begin spending on the Zongo communities from the Zongo Development Fund allocation in the 2019 budget. Provision of desks for Islamic schools, amongst many other projects, will help resolve some of the many challenges that bedevil our Zongo communities.
Turning to threats and attacks by Muslim and Christian miscreants in West Africa and other parts of the world, Dr. Bawumia urged Muslims and Christians in the country to work together and report suspicious characters.
I applaud the vigilance of Gregory Bangbeme and George Bonfodon, members of the Roman Catholic Church in Hamile in the Upper West region, who together with church leaders alerted the police about the presence in the church of an armed person who turned out to be a national of our neighboring country of Burkina Faso. That person is in police custody.
Vice President Dr. Bawumia later dined with leaders of the various Muslim groups in the region. They were joined by their counterparts from the Christian community, led by the Bishop of the World Diocese, Most Reverend Richard Kunyeba.
Ghana has something very special that for now many countries in Europe have lost, and we should hold on very, very dearly to what we have. Our culture, our religious tolerance, the unity that we have in this country is very, very special.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Once again, Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. Now, away from that, across the world today, Environment Day is being marked with several activities to create awareness and action for the protection of the environment here in Ghana. Although there have been several calls on Ghanaians to protect the environment, activities such as illegal mining and indiscriminate dumping of waste persists. My colleague Araba Kumsin visited Nima Mamobi, said to be one of the dirtiest communities in the country, and residents there feel government has neglected them.
So I'm here to speak to the residents about what they can do to prevent some of these things that we're seeing here. And I'm joined by two assembly members in this area.
My name is Honorable Ibrahim Isaka Bambara, the assemblyman from Mamobi West, and then I was in North Municipal Assembly.
Very well. And what's your name?
My name is Omar Sanda Mohammed, the assemblyman for Nima West electoral area.
We've been seeing pictures of the drain filled with all sorts of rubbish. Is it the case that people don't have anywhere to dispose of the rubbish, the garbage?
Yes, some of the garbage that you see is being brought by the rain from a certain place to this place. Some of them are being dumped by the people that live around the drain. They're doing so because the dustbins, the bins that we have around the drain is not enough for the people, and that bins are being provided by the Ambassador Ashim Morton.
Well, speaking of bins, we do know that the Crown Mayor did say he was going to supervise the distribution of 1 million bins throughout the city. You're expressing some concerns about the failure of the AMA to site the bins where they are needed most?
Exactly. Now, I'm saying they've not been sited at the right place because all the bins you are seeing is being provided by Wash Africa. So where are the bins that they distributed? That's why I said they did not take the bins to places that I needed, because they should have bring some of the bins here.
Let me come to you, Honorable. Do the residents here in the community understand the impact of throwing away waste indiscriminately and how it affects them, especially when it comes to flooding?
Most of them don't understand that. But when Ambassador Martin brought this idea, we started desalting this place. We enter house to house, educate people.
We live in a community that, excuse my language, is full of semi-illiterate. Even our people that not even understand what we mean by cholera. Because theirs is just to see that they are sick and they will be taken to the hospital for treatment. So that is why we think there is a need for sensitization. And there is a need again for government's attention.
So here with Ashim Morton, he's embarked on a campaign to rid this community of the filth that we are seeing here. Why did you decide to choose Nima Mamobi?
I live and work in this community. And so the plan was to start one community at a time, make it a model, and that model be replicated in other communities around the country. So it's a national campaign, but starting one community at a time. And this initiative was started as an offshoot of the Millennium Excellence Foundation. We thought it was important to highlight on a social aspect that affects human beings, and that's why we thought about water, sanitation, and hygiene. And there's no better place to start than in my community.
My colleague Araba Kumson's report there. Meanwhile, the opposition National Democratic Congress has joined millions around the world to also mark World Environment Day while condemning the continuous depletion of forest reserves by high-profile people in society. The party observed the day with a tree planting exercise to launch the 40th anniversary commemoration of June 4th uprising. The party also is hoping to plant a minimum of 27,000 trees in this month of June. Now, the minority in Parliament is predicting the Bank of Ghana's cleanup of the microfinance sector will worsen the industry's performance instead of making it better. The BOG a few days ago revoked the licenses of over 340 microfinance institutions because they were insolvent. Minority MP on the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, says the central bank is to be blamed for the situation because they managed the recent financial crisis in the banking sector poorly.
The recent action is going to trigger further panic in the system. You take UT and Capital Bank. Fund management companies that took monies from microfinance have their monies there. Savings and loans companies that took their monies from microfinance have their monies there. Rural and community banks that took monies from microfinance are there. And the microfinance themselves have monies at UT and Capital Bank. Then you decide that your option for addressing the gap is to give them a 10-year bond, which doesn't provide the money. It doesn't provide cash. Then you compel these institutional financial players to roll over their investment for the next 3 years. Okay, so what then happens is that savings and loans companies don't get their monies. It gets locked up at GCB. The end result is that people go to microfinance companies to take their money, and they don't also have the monies to give them. Then it creates a confidence problem. Then there's a panic withdrawal, because then once you go to one and you don't get, then you must look for your money in other places before it gets too late. So there's a panic withdrawal. The little monies that they have, they lose those monies. You don't come to address this problem. You delay it and you park it on the side as if it doesn't exist. Even for the most prudently managed microfinance institution, you will be a magician to survive this one. To survive 3 consecutive panic withdrawals in 1 year with your monies locked up.
Now, Mr. Adongo says a recent recapitalization of banks in the country by the Bank of Ghana is causing more harm than good.
Okay, as a matter of fact, what the capitalization did was create insolvent banks. It's like a leaking bucket where you pour water in, then it comes out at the end. In an attempt to look for 400 million, you made the bank lose 600 million. Through panic withdrawals. So what have you done? So that is where we are. In the case, if you want to look at the second angle, he talks about liquid banks. What it means is that the central bank governor ought to be very careful not to create a situation where, as a result of his conduct, there's another run-in on the banks, because then they won't have liquidity to survive it. It is a worse situation than they started. If you came in and your what do you call it? Your non-performing loans stood at about 17%. It worsened all the way to 23%. Then you force the banks to write off their loan portfolios because they were not performing. In the case of NIB, 759 million was written off.
You have Isaac Adongo, a minority MP on the Finance Committee of Parliament. Now, still in the finance sector, government says it is leaving a decision on whether to revoke the Interpol red alert for the arrest of Men's Gold boss Nana Appiah Mensah to the police CID. Men's Gold, in a statement, asked government to withdraw the arrest warrant so he can be released from Dubai. But Deputy Attorney General Joseph Kwemka says the police are in charge of that.
The AG department didn't trigger any red alert. Government did not trigger red alert. How about the police? You see, you're only running away from asking the appropriate persons to answer you. I've repeatedly told you that answers to this can be found at the CID.
You heard that the Deputy Attorney General Joseph Diendiok Kwemka. Now, a collapsing classroom block has compelled authorities of Ayedriasi Municipal Assembly Basic School in the Ashanti region to combine 4 kindergarten and primary 1 classrooms into 2. Teachers say they have had to endure unbearable heat during instruction hours due to congestion, resulting in some children developing skin rashes. Nana Asenso Mensah has more in this report.
Over 60 pupils are crammed in one classroom instead of the standard 30 or maximum 40. The decision to join KGs 1 and 2 followed continued deterioration of the kindergarten block, which has become so dilapidated it poses a threat to life and property. Primary 1A and B have combined to make one classroom available for the 2 KG classes to avert any unpleasant situation if the children continue using what is considered a death trap. Matilda Com is headmistress.
We've joined 2 classes, joined them, so because of that the teachers have been joined together to group them so that we have a nice, successful environment, but it's not be easy at all.
There are serious public health concerns due to poor ventilation for both children and teachers under the present circumstance.
Sometimes it goes to the extent that we have some skin rashes on the case and the place smells a lot. We don't have the chairs and the number is too large.
The Oforikro Municipal Assembly has meanwhile initiated moves to reconstruct the KG block.
Nana Asenso Mensah's report. You're still listening to News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. Edo Feature Edition, and George Riafi has the latest from the world of business. George.
Thank you, Emifa. And coming up in business, the former MP for Nsuta Kwamambe Poso Kwame Osei-Prempeh appointed as the new managing director of GOIL. And what would happen to funds of creditors of these microfinance companies that have been collapsed? We'll hear from the receiver, Eric Nana Nipa. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you? Let's now settle for the details. Now, the former MP for Nsuta Kwamambe Poso, Kwame Osei-Prempeh, has been appointed the new managing director of oil marketing firm GOIL. This follows the decision of the current managing director, Patrick Akoli, to retire from the company. Until Kwame Osei-Prempeh's appointment, he was the non-executive director on the board of GOIL. He has been in that position since May 18, 2017. He is a lawyer by profession. He was also the former Deputy Justice and Attorney General, that is from June 2006 to 2009. He also served on several boards in the country. Now, persons and institutions that might have given funds to these collapsed microfinance companies, or let's say creditors, might have to wait a while before getting their money back. Now, this is because the person that is working on the liquidation process, that Eric Nipa says that government just provided the funds for the depositors. So what would happen, or when the creditors' funds be paid? Let's hear from Eric Nipa. He's a director at PricewaterhouseCoopers and the receiver for the liquidation process.
Government's funding doesn't, at least for now, extend to them. So in their case, theirs should be based on asset realizations. as we secure these assets, we value these assets, and we go into the mode of sale. As we make realizations, depending upon the quantum of these realizations, depending on the timing of these realizations, then we should be able to determine when we can pay, whether we can pay at all, and how much we can pay. So they would drink from the estates of the company. And that is the difference here.
But then some would say that might not be fair.
Well, I mean, that may not be fair to you, but it's the prerogative of government of Ghana in this instance. And they, out of the abundance of their hearts, have decided that depositors are key. We need to calm the financial system. And given the fact that resources are not infinite, we can address these people and we can pay for them. This is how our government at least has indicated that they can go for now.
Eric Nananipa is a director at accounting firm PricewaterhouseCoopers and receiver for the liquidation of this microfinance company. And the new group chief executive of Hollard Insurance, Patient Achianu, says she plans to leverage on the firm's financial strength and global links to grow its presence here in the country. Madam Achianu was last year appointed as the new group boss for the insurance firm after resigning from Barclays Bank, Ghana. Madam Achianu tells Joy Business they have what it takes to be the #1 insurance firm within 5 years.
The insurance industry is very competitive, and in the general insurance space, we have as many as 29 insurance companies in a small economy like this. In the life space, about 24, so more than 53 insurance companies in Ghana. So the competition is quite intense, you know. So our approach is innovation. I mean, Hollard is very well known for innovation. You know, we bring products that are different. You know, we've got world-class expertise. So we've got, you know, advantage in things like marine insurance. So because of, you know, the way we are placed across the group to support some of these, if you like, very specific technical areas, it's a natural competitive advantage. And we expect to roll out this kind of approach in Ghana as well.
Patient Achianu is the new group chief executive of insurance firm Hollard. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. Back to you, MFA.
What are your plans for later tonight?
Maybe just take it easy, you know, because you're back to work again tomorrow.
Remember me.
Why not? I always remember, you know that.
Thank you, George, for the latest from the world of business. Now, he fell from a fruit tree when he was only 6 years old in the Oti region village of Akwesukubi. 5 years on, Bismarck Tevo, who dislocated his spine during the fall, has developed a hunch at his back in what doctors are describing as a complex case of kyphosis. He can hardly walk, sit, or even engage in activities like every normal child as a result. Joy News' Komla Adom and Fred Kwame Asare report the little boy is on the verge of dropping out of school as family and relatives race against time to get medical attention for him.
Bismarck Tevo, born without a deformity, in the company of his friends, would have a life-threatening health condition after he fell from the tree.
I fell from the mumbim tree when I was very young. I didn't tell my mom when I got home because I was scared she would beat me.
But as Bismarck fell from the height and landed on his back, it marked the beginning of years of pain, trauma, and later ridicule from people. His unemployed mother, Faustina Kpakpo, explains she tried to seek medical help. However, that process was truncated due to unavailability of funds.
We visited the hospital again after a year when we realized he started developing a hunch at his back. The doctors advised we send him to a bigger facility, but we couldn't go because we didn't have money.
6 years on, Bismarck's condition has been fast deteriorating.
I feel pains at night and I can't sit and write in school. I have to stand whilst writing.
His class teacher, Hayford Ampedu, speaks about Bismarck's condition and how it affects his education.
He can't sit in class. He can't walk far. Anytime he sits, he does not feel comfortable.
Through some contributions from individuals and friends on social media, Bismarck underwent some x-rays and scans at Focus Orthopedic Hospital to properly diagnose his condition. Professor Ohineba Boacheje says Bismarck's condition is a complex problem which demands urgent medical attention. Hospital authorities say the complex medical procedure will cost approximately 97,000 cedis, but family of a little boy says they are helpless. His mother, makes an appeal.
I am pleading with the general public to support me raise money for my son's surgery.
Rather sad situation there. Now, the coalition of non-governmental organizations against mining in the Atiwa Forest Reserve is demanding that government ceases all exploration activities of bauxite in the country, especially at the Atiwa Forest, until a broader stakeholder consultation is undertaken. The group alleges that despite protests from think tanks and environmental protection groups against the move, government on the 30th of May had begun bulldozing its way into the forest, something the coalition says breaches international best practices and goes directly against Ghana's constitution regarding mineral exploration. Nancy Emefedradosi was at the event and reports.
The Atiwa Forest is the source of rivers Ayensu, Brim and Densu. The Densu River also feeds the Wager Dam and several water treatment plants. The Brim River, which also takes its source from Atiwa, also joins River Pra, all major sources of water for people in Ghana. The forest is said to also shelter over 100 rare plants and endangered animal species. In July 2018, the government in the mid-year budget review announced a $2 billion deal with a Chinese engineering firm.
Government has reached agreement with Sino Hydro Group Limited of China for a barter arrangement under which Sino Hydro will provide $2 billion of infrastructure of the government's choice in exchange, Mr. Speaker, for Ghana's refined bauxite.
Many civil society organizations, through several press conferences and demonstrations, have kicked against government's decision. It is estimated that water for at least 5 million Ghanaians would be at stake if a Atiwa Forest is mined. 73-year-old Kofi Amankwa Adams is one of those who would be affected.
No, I'm 73 years now.
Despite protests from think tanks and environmental protection groups against the move, government on the 30th of May 2019 began bulldozing its way into the forest. The coalition of non-governmental organizations against mining in the Atiwa Forest Reserve says that was a breach in international best practices and goes directly against Ghana's constitution regarding mineral exploration.
Now, meanwhile, in rather emotional PRO for the group, Oting Eje noted that the damage the mining will cause is enormous. This was his response when he was asked whether the Ochihene and his sub-chiefs had a hand in the mining of the forest.
Oh, but you are aware that the voices of these chiefs carry weight. You know it. Because, for instance, the Asantehene, you know, when he was celebrating the 20 years, he said he has brokered peace between top personalities in the country, and so they carry weight. Besides that, it is the predecessors, Nana Sefurata, who managed to preserve that area. Even in those days when we normally call Abejimi Bre, they preserved it. And in times of our civilization, why do we get it desecrated? So they carry weight. If Ochihene should consult Nanado and tell him stop this, it will be stopped. Put that challenge to Ochihene and find out.
There are many who say because
no. Try it and see.
But have you also spoken to Ochihene?
Yes. Every petition that we send anywhere, we serve him a copy. Everything that we do, we see the agitation emanates from his backyard. That's where we start from.
That's the PRO for the coalition, a non-governmental organization against mining in the Atiwa Forest, Oting Eje there. And just before we go, after 40 years of avoiding the Nima police station where her father was killed, Esther Odate Wellington, daughter of Major General Odate Wellington, managed to face her worst fears and went to the exact spot where her father's lifeless body once laid. As we build up to the second special assignment series on crimes that shook the nation, titled Scars of the Revolution, Esther has been telling Raymond Akwa how this will go a long way to help her find some closure.
I couldn't even bring myself to look over the direction of the Nima police station when I drove on the ring road. But 40 years after the fact, I thought that it might help bring me closure, and also it was important for me to see where my father was slain. So I decided to come here today to do that, stand in silence and respect of him. And I can't say feel what he felt, because it was horrendous what happened in the commander's room office here at the Nima police station. Yeah.
Does it help in any way? Attempts at getting some closure? Does this journey in any way help?
It does help. I'm on a journey, as you say. It's 40 years now. There are many unanswered questions, or, well, I have many answers, but a lot has been hidden from the general public. In trying to organize a memorial for my father, I found that a lot of official records had been expunged, papers had been expunged from, places. So it's very difficult to get hold of things. Coming here has shed light on certain things, and it's a small part of the journey, yes. So I think it's been very helpful. I know I had a bit of difficulty accessing this place because for some reason, when our names are heard, we service children encounter forms of discrimination, sometimes overt and sometimes very, very subtle. And I get the impression that people think that if they help us or they even provide a service that we pay for, they are upsetting somebody somewhere. And that must stop.
You heard there Esther Odate Wellington, daughter of Major General Odate Wellington, as part of our build-up in the special assignment series on crimes that shook the nation titled Scars of the Revolution, ending our special edition of Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am MFA Apau. Do enjoy the rest of your holiday.
It's time to experience something